Hey y'all, it is Steven here for one last Training Tuesday. This is a Training Tuesday post race. So instead of talking about all the preparation going into me running the 2021 London Marathon as a charity runner for these great folks at the Change Foundation, I get to talk a little bit about how all of my training paid off. So, if you have not checked out the results or you have not seen one of my posts with my time and information from the marathon, I finished in 4 hours, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds, which is just a little bit above my goal. My goal was 4 hours or less, really, to be honest, under 4. Just missed it. I'm a little disappointed, I'm not going to lie. It was a fantastic and amazing experience, which I'll come back to in a moment. But how did I feel post race? How did I feel the next morning? How do I feel now, Tuesday at approximately 7:45 Central Daylight Time after waking up at almost 6 o'clock British summertime today? So that was essentially at midnight Central Time. I woke up and I've been up pretty much all day long now as I've traveled back to the States following the race. I'm tired at this point because I've been awake for so long. As far as like physically, how do my legs feel? How do my muscles feel? I feel actually really pretty good. I felt pretty good post race. I had some mocha coffee, cold mocha coffee, because I know chocolate milk is great post race and does a great job of rehydrating and giving you the carbs and the electrolytes that you need. I couldn't find a small container of that in London, so I had found some mocha flavored cold brew coffee, went with that, did a great job. It really helped me and I didn't really feel bad. And I did have some carbs. I had a granola bar from All Good Granola out of the Hampton Roads area in Virginia. That was pretty tasty as well. And eventually, not too long later, after the race, I had a nice, good, healthy meal and I felt great. So, in talking to Ryan Jones of the Change Foundation, who was there to support me and see me at the finish line, he's somebody who's actually run the London Marathon twice. His first time was as a charity runner for the Change Foundation as well. And his commentary was, well, no, if you train hard and you follow your training, you really don't feel that bad after the race. Assuming you've done everything that you need to do during the race, as far as, drinking the water that you need to drink, having some carbohydrates during the race, whether that's pretzels like I chose to go with, because that's what I always used on my training runs, whether it's gels or electrolyte drinks or whatever the case might be, or some combination of all of those things. If you follow that plan, things will pay off. That's what I did. I stuck very much with my training regimen from Runner's World Race Everything, written by Bart Yasso and some other folks on staff there, and I felt good about my time going in. I felt good that my training was going to work. If you're an Alabama football fan, you understand this. Trust the process. I trusted the process. Process worked out pretty well. And I feel great. Other things to talk about. Holy cow, oh my goodness. Greatest race day experience I've ever seen or felt. I'm going to try to quickly wrap up how that was for me. And it's really difficult because there's people all throughout the course, even with the COVID mitigation policies the marathon had in place, there were still crowds. There were still tons of people at different spots, in particular like Tower Bridge, which, by the way, coolest thing ever to be able to run across. Tower Bridge, packed on the sides, like 3-4 people deep, shoulder to shoulder, the whole street leading up to it, across the bridge, etc. And they're all screaming and they're yelling for you. And one of the things that even now, 2 days later, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I've thought about this post race, and I've talked with my wife Katie about it. So if you've seen a picture, you've seen that I had a jersey that had my name. It had my name Steven on it, and it had the Change Foundation logo, and then it had this guy's logo, the Erie Seawolves logo, on the other side, because they sponsored me. They stepped up and made a fantastic contribution to the Change Foundation to help marginalized youth become empowered through sport. And my name was on there. And I'm running through the streets of London where really I don't know that many people. I know a few people. But everybody in the crowd, if they can read somebody's name on a jersey, they're shouting out their name and they're cheering them on. And at first when I was running, I heard people say Steven and whatever, and I just kind of shrugged because, I mean, there were, almost 50,000 people who ran this in person, and I just didn't really think about it. I was like, oh, well, surely that somebody else is near me who's also Steven or Steve or something, whatever. I just ignored it. And eventually, as it kind of kept happening, and I don't know what clicked for me in this process, but it clicked eventually that it's like, no, actually, these random strangers are reading my name and cheering for me because they know I'm running for a charity. They know I'm running for something I care about. And they're just doing everything that they can to get you there to the finish. And it wasn't just for me that they did this, obviously. They did it for all the people in front of me, all the people behind me, all the people way in front of me, and all of the people way behind me. London Marathon has raised over £1 billion since 1980, all going to charities. And it's an incredible feeling to be able to be part of that. And no amount of training mentally, emotionally prepares you for what you will feel when you get to run that race. What you feel when you see tons of other runners wearing some sort of charity vest or shirt like I wore with their cause on it and their names on it. And I welled up just like I am now. I don't know how many times on the course, because it's awesome. It's thousands of people running and doing something, and then thousands more who are supporting all of these folks with financial contributions, with emotional support, through the training process, through the race day, to make the world a better place. I got to be a little part of all of that big change. And I don't even know what to say. Just an incredible and wonderful feeling. And I tried to sit and think about, okay, so how did I get here? Because when I went to the running show on Friday and dropped off my kit bag, I got to tell people about how and why I'm running and so forth. And of course they're like, so wait, an American who is living in Japan learns about a UK charity, moves back to the US, and is now running the London Marathon for this charity. And oh, by the way, has a minor league baseball team from America, but the official minor league baseball affiliate of the United Kingdom sponsoring him. This is the craziest story that I've heard about somebody who's running for a charity. And you can't help but become moved. You can't help but become moved because of all of this love, all of this support from so many people. And I've tried to trace back, okay, so, who's that first degree of separation that got me here? And I'm not really sure who that is exactly. I'm not really sure how many number of people there are between me and that person that ultimately got me to the Change Foundation. All I can say is, obviously, I'm doing the right things in the world that I need to be doing right now. And I'm very fortunate for all of those opportunities. And they're ones that I didn't necessarily go out to seek. I've talked to people about, well, this is going to be my first marathon. They're like, oh, you get to run London for your first? And they're like, that's really cool. And it is. And I'm blessed to say that my first marathon ever was the London Marathon. But it's not because it was something that I set as a goal explicitly. It's my first marathon because I wanted to support the Change Foundation and what they do. And everything that came along with it is just a bonus for me. It's Tuesday, so in Runner's World I'm late because it's not Medal Monday, and I don't care. But I did want to take a second to show off this beauty, which is my finisher's medal. And so this is the front side of it, and you can see, of course, there's 4 or really 3 numbers depending on how you're looking at it. You can see the 2-0, but also kind of a 6 up here, and the 2 and a 1, and then there is a point here, so it's either 2021 or it's 26.2. But this part, that's the super cool part for me. So, backside. In uncontracted Braille, it says, "We run together." So, this text here is what you see here written in Braille. And it's as much that we run together because we're dealing with a global pandemic still. And, big mass events like marathons haven't happened. And specifically, the London Marathon hadn't taken place in 889 days. So it's about that. But it's also as much about what the London Marathon is doing. It's me running for the Change Foundation. It's somebody else running for Macmillan's cancer research. It's somebody else running for an epilepsy charity. It's somebody else running for an LGBTQ charity. It's somebody else running for Alzheimer's research. Or somebody else running for one of the shirts that I loved seeing when I saw it on the course. Crohn's disease and colitis, because it takes guts. Because it does take guts to run a marathon. And if you're familiar with what Crohn's disease is and colitis is, it's a gut disease. And you can't help but laugh that they're taking something that's obviously very serious, but still willing to have a little bit of fun with it. So, for anybody who's ever thought about running a marathon and wants to run one, I would absolutely, hands down, recommend applying for the London Marathon. It's an amazing experience. Obviously, I'm still very much emotionally overwhelmed over my experience, and it's a really cool course. You get to run across Tower Bridge. You get to see some cool sights in London. I want to say thank you to everybody. So I want to say thank you to everybody who supported me emotionally, financially by investing in all sorts of my running gear and other stuff that I've used. Those who donated to the Change Foundation on my behalf. I wouldn't have done any of what I've done without y'all's donations to a charity. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody at the Change Foundation who advocated for me to be their charity runner. And I appreciate the opportunity that y'all have afforded me because of that. And y'all keep thanking me for running for you guys. I don't deserve thanks for what I did. Y'all gave me an amazing experience and opportunity, and from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. So, what's next? I don't know what's next, other than my crazy ass has already put in for the 2022 London Marathon ballot. So we'll see if I get lucky in the lottery. Maybe I will. I don't know. But most importantly, for anybody who has sat through this very emotional Training Tuesday for me, if you've donated to the Change Foundation already on my behalf, thank you. I want to ask you to do something for me, and I want to ask you to do something for the Change Foundation, which is if you've already donated, share this video, share any of the other videos that I've posted in the 4+ months that I've worked towards this goal. And tell people why you donated to the Change Foundation on my behalf. And hopefully somebody will pitch in and donate a little bit themselves. If you have not donated because of whatever reason, and I don't care why you haven't donated yet, but you've thought about it, now's your time. I've done my job. I've run 26.2 miles through the streets of London for the Change Foundation. I still want to raise more money because I've accomplished something, but there is still always more work to be done. And the Change Foundation can't keep doing its work without your support. So if you've thought about donating but haven't pulled the trigger just yet, maybe you wanted to see if I'd actually finish. And yeah, by golly, I actually finished. I'm asking you, go to the link down at the bottom there. Donate to the Change Foundation. I am just a little bit short currently of raising £3,000 for the Change Foundation. I would love by the end of October, when my donation link will end up closing, to have hit that £3,000 mark. So what I am asking y'all to do is to donate in one of two amounts, preferably. £26 for the 26.2 miles I ran, which is about $35 or so. If that's a little more than you feel comfortable spending, I understand that. So I'm going to ask you, donate 13 pounds. That's half the distance I ran, approximately. 13 pounds is about $17.50, give or take a little bit. I've done the math, and I need about 10 people to donate at the 26-pound mark for me to hit 3,000 pounds total raised. I am about 20-ish people short if everybody donated 13 pounds. So whatever you can afford, is great. I will never ever complain about a donation that's less than anything that I've asked for. But I want to be able to give y'all significant numbers that are meaningful. And 13 and 26 are those numbers. So if you haven't donated yet, please seriously consider it. Donation link's right down there. It's really easy. And you might learn more about the awesome things that the Change Foundation does. So with that, I have talked a lot more than I ever thought I would talk about things tonight, because I wanted to try to keep this short. I have failed at that. But the one thing I have done is I have smashed the London Marathon. I have run a 4-hour, 2-minute, and 30-second marathon. My first marathon ever. And thanks to a ton of amazing people, I have been able to raise almost 3,000 pounds for the Change Foundation to help marginalized youths become empowered through sport. So thank you to the Change Foundation. Thank you to the Erie Sea Wolves, my sponsor, and to all of the folks who have so far donated. And thank you to the people who are going to donate after watching this video. Thank y'all. Cheers.